It's hard to tell if the controversy that surrounded Rising of the Shield Hero tampered its possible reach in the Western anime sphere, especially since it still managed to rank pretty high viewership-wise on many anime websites, but without being able to understand how the reputation affected its popularity, it's definitely safe to say that there were some people who ended up skipping over or giving up on the show because of that reputation. But was any of that controversy deserved? If you're new to the show and aren't familiar with the many rants and articles that people wrote about it, the Rising of the Shield Hero was blasted for many different things. Misogyny, racism, being pro-slavery, pedophilia, incel bait. People talked about this show like it would bring the collapse of society as we knew it. But what brought on this premonition? Well, it all started when the first 2 episodes of the show aired. Naofumi gets isekai into a fantasy world as the Shield Hero, along with 3 other humans as their own hero: the Sword Hero, Spear Hero, and Bow Hero. We spend a bit of time getting introduced to a few characters and the world, including the Princess of the Kingdom, who Naofumi gets pretty close to. They have a good time, spend the night together, until all of a sudden, Naofumi wakes up and the princess accuses him of raping her. And that's when the community struck. Article after article, tweet after tweet, false rape accusations never happen. Is Shield Hero saying that you shouldn't believe rape survivors? Many communities accuse the show of being sexist, that false sexual assault allegations rarely happen, so having it happen in the show with a statement that we shouldn't believe women, that the #MeToo movement was full of a bunch of fucking liars, that the princess is the stand-in and represents all of women, and her being the worst thing to ever be conceived of, is the dog whistle to sexist men who think that all women are the scum of the earth. The war wages on, dissecting just how misogynistic the show really was. And though the Shield Hero fans fought valiantly, they were unprepared for the coming events, when in episode 2, the main character, Naofumi, bought a slave. And for the people trying to save humanity from descending into chaos from watching the Rising of the Shield Hero, this was the last shot they thought they needed to finally kill the show. They believe this was the show trying to say that women should be beneath men, and that owning slaves was okay. But unfortunately for them, people really didn't care. And though it was a brutal war, with the Shield Hero fans taking pounding after pounding, in the end, the saviors of humanity lost. Because people just ignored them. And also because, that OST was hitting. While from a certain perspective, these could be valid accusations of the show, but I feel like a lot of these people aren't taking the show for what it is, and instead of trying to meet the Shield Hero on his own terms, people started injecting their own politics into the show, which upon further inspection, many of these complaints don't hold up in my opinion. Like the Shield Hero calling out the #Me movement, despite the light novel being created in an entirely different part of the world 2 years before Me Too was even a thing. But to understand why some of their other complaints might not entirely hold up, we have to understand what kind of show we're watching. Rising of the Shield Hero is about a character named Naofumi who gets isekai into a fantasy world as the Shield Hero. Unfortunately, the last Shield Hero kind of screwed the pooch, and now every Shield Hero is treated like trash. So he's transported into an unfamiliar environment, forced to lay down his life for a group of people that never respected him or wanted him around. And then on top of that, to top it off, he then gets immediately accused of raping the daughter of the king. The dude can't catch a break, but this is the ultimate underdog story. Everyone is supposed to treat him like shit, and that's what Multi, one of the worst characters to ever be conceived of, was meant to do. Treat him like shit. But I never really understood the arguments that Multi is the stand-in for all women, due to her being one of the main female characters in the show. Or the argument that the show is trying to push the agenda that women should be beneath men, because 1, the show didn't make Multi the representation of women. You did. You decided she was, and then criticized the show for it. And 2, one of the main plot points in the show is that everything that is wrong with the society and everything that Naofumi is going through is due to the queen's absence. A woman. The queen was the ruler this society needed, but due to her disappearance, her husband assumed charge and fucked everything up. And it takes a woman to come back and fix it. And that's what I mean by I think people are assigning messages to the show that the Shield Hero never put out there. The show never treated Multi as if she represents all women on the planet, and it never acted like women are the issue here. There may be less women in the show, but according to the show's own story, the only hope of saving the society is to find the queen, not rely on the king. Not to mention the show couldn't have possibly been a political statement against the Me Too movement, as it came out years before the movement was even alive in an entirely different country. Or like the complaints about promoting slavery that some people levied against the show. As Naofumi was betrayed by everyone he knew, he needed to grind up his levels in order to survive. And as the shield hero, he didn't exactly have any offensive capabilities, at least at the lower levels, so he couldn't really kill monsters on his own to get experience. And since Naofumi can no longer trust anyone in this city, he decided to get the assistance of someone who could never betray him. And unfortunately, that was a slave. See, in this city, slavery is legal, and Naofumi wants to take advantage of this in order to have a comrade who can help him fight monsters. And while this could be a deeper look into Naofumi's morality, we should also take into account that Naofumi is a bit traumatized from the events earlier in the story, and that at this point, he doesn't really consider this world real. It's almost like a game to him. Despite the circumstances being unfortunate, slavery is terrible, the narrative reason for this is to allow Naofumi a chance to grow as a character while giving Raphtilia, the girl that he bought, a chance at a happy life because she can finally be with someone who actually cares for her. As I said, Naofumi has closed off his heart because he can no longer trust people, and by being with someone that he can trust, because a slave can't betray his master, as awkward that is to say, Naofumi can learn to open up his heart again. Now, this isn't to say that Shield Hero is an amazing show or anything. I was initially hooked over the character falsely being accused of raping someone, which I've never seen happen in any anime that I've ever watched, or probably just by any show, and I kept watching as I found the more darker or morally gray story a fresh change of pace compared to the typical isekai show, on top of the way the power system works in the show. But the truth is, I don't think this show deserved the controversy or attention that it originally got, because despite the original shock and twist Shield Hero implemented, the show can be a bit generic and isn't that well written, which is why I never watched the second season. This wasn't the Neon Genesis Evangelion of isekai, and it didn't have nearly the renown or recognition that an isekai like Mushoku Tensei had. So a lot of this just seemed like wasted energy over a show that just tried to set itself apart from its contemporaries, making Shield Hero out to be this big bad boogeyman, when in reality, it's just another isekai. I'm not so sure if I'll ever watch the second season, because I feel like most of what I wanted out of the show got wrapped up in the first season. The queen came back, Multi got to pay for being the worst character to ever be conceived of, the other heroes finally acknowledged Naofumi is not a piece of shit. Things that I wanted kinda got, resolved. But if I do give the second season a try, make sure to sub to the channel to hear any thoughts I might have to say about it. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a like and sub to the channel. And let me know what you think about Shield Hero in the comment section down below. Peace, thanks for watching.